It's time to pull those belts tight, race fans. The front stretch is coming at you, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. Now, here's Dan Taylor and Dirk Houston.
Well, good morning, race fans, and welcome to the front stretch, presented by Joe's Karting at Council Bluffs, online at joeskarting.com. That is karting with a K. Get to Joe's today, and head over to joeskarting.com for the latest hours, prices, and special events they have going on at the Metro's only indoor karting facility. That is Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. Again, joeskarting.com, karting with a K. Got to go to another karting facility over at Knoxville Raceway last weekend when I was over there for the 360 Nationals and Slideways Karting Center. Fun, but I got to tell you, I and not because they're a good sponsor of the show, I genuinely think I have more fun at Joe's Karting. Two completely different styles. It's road courses at Joe's Karting. It's oval track oval track at Slideways Karting Center. Fun stuff. But that was kind of experience. Good to experience another non-governor goat kart track.
Can you go to Slideways in the middle of December with a foot of snow on the ground?
Nope.
But
you
go.
can do it at Joe's Karting. Climate controlled, as Stan Caesar put it earlier in the week when I was having lunch with him. All right, so we're going to start off the show. A little bit of sad news, and I apologize to start off your beautiful Sunday morning with some sad news, but life happens every once in a while, and one of our Pick'ems contestants unfortunately passed away last weekend. Vern Carragher, who jumped on the contest this year and has been playing along as a part of the season-long contest, passed away from illnesses. And so our thoughts and our prayers go out to Tony, Tammy, and Tom, and the entire Carragher family. He'll be missed. We enjoyed having Vern on the program for the Pick'ems contest.
Also carrying along with that same sentiment, we lost Buddy Baker.
Yes,
a 19-time winner on the big circuit with NASCAR. His dad, Buck Baker's in the Hall of Fame. But he'd been doing some TV work and some radio work, and announced just a couple months ago that he had inoperable cancer, and he is now gone. Yeah,
I listened to Buddy quite a bit on Sirius satellite radio for the NASCAR channel. I subscribe to that channel, subscribe to Sirius for that specific reason, to be able to listen to NASCAR radio and get some insight for you guys. But very sad news, and you kind of had a feeling when he made the announcement that it wasn't going to be long. And it didn't take long at all. I think about a month.
Yeah, he was a gentle giant. I'd got to meet him once. He was a driver coach for one of our favorite people here on the radio show, Brendan Gaughan, back in 2004 when Brendan was driving the Kodak car for Penske. Buddy was his coach, so I'd got to meet him at that time and seemed like a very nice guy. So he'll be missed in the garage area and on the radio.
Want to send out our well wishes to another Pick'ems contestant, Jim Brennan, who fell and broke his hip on Friday. Lord knows I've fallen several times, and I probably should have broken my hip by now, but I haven't. So, well wishes to Jim as he recovers from that. And then, sadly, suffered a stroke while in the hospital on last Sunday, healing up from that. So, kind of lucky he was in the hospital and he was able to get taken care of really quickly. From what I read on Facebook, he's just got a little bit of a speech impairment, but not too bad. And he should be able to recover from both of those ailments. So best well wishes out to Jim. Jim's one of those guys that, thank God for Jim, because you've sent me text messages several times on Sunday morning. We're going to need the stat pack for today because you haven't done that yet. Oh, thank you. Jim's the same way. How many times he's sent me notes. You put the wrong points for this driver and you did that. I'm like, thanks.
Well, if you've ever read any of Jim's articles in the old Hawkeye News or anything like that, you'd know he's a detail guy. So,
yeah. And he's very good at what he does. So we're hoping a speedy recovery for Jim. All right, for the show lined up for you today, I think we got a good one lined up. The rest of Turn 1, we're going to break down the action from Watkins Glen. We'll talk a little bit of news and notes if we have time, but we're going to try to save as much time for Shannon Anderson, driver of the number 78 hobby stock throughout Iowa at a couple of different tracks. We'll talk to him about his career, some of his ways of dealing with the current racing world, and his thoughts on some different things that are going on. Then we're going to talk to Nebraska's own Rick Allen, who is the broadcaster, who's in the main broadcast man, the lead broadcaster for the NBCSN NASCAR coverage.
He's the guy up there with Jeff Burton and Steve Letarte, the tall dude on the left.
He's got quite a bit of a resume, and something I didn't know. I'm still learning the dirt racing world. I knew he came from this area. I didn't realize he was a PA announcer from Memorial Stadium, which, by the way, maybe I'll work up the nerve and ask him if he wants the job back because they now need a new PA announcer. If you saw that story earlier last week that broke.
He also was the announcer for the Cornhusker baseball games for like 8 years.
Oh, really? And he called races out of Eagle Raceway. I had a long conversation with Stan Caesar earlier this week when I had lunch with him. About all the different things that they worked on together. And Stan very fond of Rick, and a lot of us very fond of Rick because he's a very nice guy, carrying the Midwestern banner very well. So we'll talk to Rick in turn number 3. And in turn number 4, we will preview Michigan. We'll get you tips from Mr. Fantasy Chad Robb and so much more. But before we do all of that, let's recap the action from Watkins Glen. Once again, Dirk, a race that did not disappoint. Very good race for Watkins Glen.
Disappointed me.
Well, you picked the wrong guy. For once, you had a bad pick.
I had the worst pick available.
Yeah, you did.
The only thing I could have done was pick like the somebody that didn't qualify. Is the only way I could have got worse than what I did.
The only thing, the good news is, though, the silver lining in that is that you picked him for the 5-week contest, which you can't win that anyways. So
I can't win the season one either,
well,
but
that's
still,
true.
I've got an ego.
I think you took AJ for the season long, didn't you?
No.
Oh.
No, I had the 14 on both counts.
Oh, you did?
But I told you last week I was going to take him, and he did qualify third.
Yep.
So I stuck to my guns, and bad part is I didn't get to see what happened. He was running about 10th when I had to turn the television off.
Rear end gave away. He lost the rear end in it, 56 laps in. Oddly enough, he was the worst driver of them all. I mean, there's not a lot of races that you get, more than halfway through, and nobody's retired yet. I mean, you're talking about Daytona. In Talladega, you usually have that ability, but Watkins Glen, 56 laps in, Tony Stewart walks away with 1 point. Another driver that had a really bad day, Casey Kane, finished 42nd. Jeff Gordon finished 41st. Chase, bubble contender Jamie McMurray finished 40th. So those drivers get 1, 2, 3, and 4 points respectively. So rough day for those guys. Other days, Denny Hamlin finished 27th. He had a rough day. Austin Dillon finished 36th. AJ Allmendinger, who a lot of people took AJ to sneak out another win, have a very good car, 24th. We're going to have to talk about that. Let's take some time right now to talk about that. I don't know if you were able to, you said that you had to shut the radio, the TV off and miss some of the broadcast, but his attitude in that car is the exact opposite of the attitude you need to have. I mean, he was down and he gave up on that car well before the race was over with. Well,
basically, he gave on it once he got passed at the beginning of the race.
Yeah.
He said this, and this, and this, and when they pitted, nothing got fixed. So, and I'm sure they made adjustments. They just didn't work, and that happens from time to time.
That was something that Steve Letarte talked a lot about. The biggest benefit that Steve Letarte was for Dale Jr. I mean, obviously Steve was a great crew chief, but he was an even better cheerleader in getting in Dale's ear and saying, yeah, we're a lap down. Yeah, we just blew a tire. Yeah, the fenders are now ripped off the car. But we still have a chance. We're only a lap down. We're going to get that lap back, and we're going to get ourselves a top 10 finish. Stick with me. I'm going to make your car good. And that was Steve Letarte's biggest contribution to Dale Jr. And, boy, could A.J. Allmendinger use that now.
Well, and, I mean, his crew chief was trying. But, it just wasn't getting into AJ. Hey, we can fix this and we can fix that. And, of course, when he kept getting passed, obviously then, because you don't come back and win Watkins Glen very often from a lap down. I don't know if that's ever happened. So the only time I think he got a lap down, though, was on a pit stop cycle or something like that. But he just didn't have any luck, where last year he had the luck. That's what happens.
Top 10 finishers at Watkins Glen. Jimmy Johnson was your 10th place finisher. Good finish for Sam Hornish. He gets a 9th place finish. Carl Edwards 8th. Brett Keselowski 7th. Clint Boyer 6th. Kurt Busch 5th. Matt Kenseth, Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch, and Joey Logano round out your top 5, and Joey Logano obviously gets the win.
Now, the real race, if you got to watch it, Where the fun part happened was the Xfinity race.
Jeez.
After the race when the boxing matches almost started.
Regan Smith.
But the neat part about it, you never saw him make a fist. I mean, he got big and brave and, threw Ty's hat off his head. But he never made a fist. He never even attempted to make a swing. So you can't be big and bad with your hand open grabbing somebody's shirt.
Ty did. I saw after that hat came off, Ty's fist balled up, and luckily there was 83 people around him, and they stopped anything from happening. But I give kudos to Ty. He's a young kid. He's trying to make his way in the sport, and sometimes you got to push back with these veterans. And I give him all the credit in the world. He said, "You know what? I tried to own up to it, but he
going to go talk to him."
But he tried to. You could see him as soon as Regan walks up. He puts his hands up in the "Hey, I'm sorry" position. Regan grabs his shirt, and Ty just goes nuts. Ty, don't push me like that. And I'm kind of the same way. If somebody wants to come talk to me calmly, we'll talk it out. But if you come at me with both guns blazing, I'll go right back at you with anger and rage,
But those officials didn't do what I used to do. I've been in on a couple of those. I just get the guy in a bear hug, and once you got both of his arms pinned to his side, because Regan Smith is only about 5'5" and probably 140 pounds.
Both of them are. I mean, Ty's a little bit bigger, but there was a lot of guys around them. But isn't there kind of that little kind of the let them kind of it's
nope. NASCAR doesn't want that stuff on TV.
Okay,
that's why they keep getting in it. I mean, that's at one of those Xfinity races a year ago. I don't remember who they was. One of the road course ringers come in and he bumped somebody towards the end of the race, and the guy's girlfriend come up right in front of the camera and gave him a smack upside the head.
That was pretty funny. That was great.
I don't remember if that was Montreal or Wisconsin. It was one of the two road courses.
I keep thinking it was Watkins Glen, but my memory is I'm not going to contest my memory with yours. That doesn't happen very well for me.
Well, it was a road course, so it could be Watkins Glen. But
how heartbreaking for Kevin Harvick. I mean, you say it's heartbreaking. He's got his win. He's locked into the chase.
I say it's average for Kevin Harvick.
Yeah, but this is reminiscent of last year. He had great cars, bad luck, mechanical failures, goes on to win the championship. So maybe I need to switch my pick from Kyle Busch to Kevin Harvick as your champion for 2015 for this year to win the championship. But Kyle Busch now into the chase, but he's not locked in. I believe he's 6 points to the good over 31st place. Let's see. 6 points above 31st, which is Cole Witt. So he's not locked into the chase, and essentially he won't. I don't think he'll be locked in, completely locked in until we get to probably Darlington and maybe even Richmond.
I was going to say probably Richmond.
Because here's the way the landscape lays out. He is 30 points behind Justin Allgaier in 29th. He is 31 points behind Trevor Bayne. And then another 56 points back to Ricky Stenhouse in 27th. So probably the best he's going to pick up, maybe 28th or 27th. Maybe 28th. He's probably going to get up to 29th. But he's definitely got to still play his cards right to not have bad finishes and make his way back out of the chase.
And with 4 wins, none of that matters. As long as he beats the 30th, as long as he stays in the top 30, he's good.
It's going to be quite the story to go from missing 11 races.
Something like that.
To being tied for the top seed when we reset the standings at Chicagoland. And that's just right now. Who knows if he's going to be able to rattle off 1 or 2 more wins. This kid is hot right now.
Well, he's got 2 tracks with Bristol and Richmond coming up that he knows how to get around.
Absolutely. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back in turn number 2. We'll talk with Shannon Anderson, driving the number 78 hobby stock throughout Iowa. We'll be back here on the front stretch.
One of the hardest things to find in the world is a trusted mechanic. Your car breaks down. You need someone that won't see you as an opportunity to pad their wallet. Jim at Tuffy Tire and Auto Service in Bellevue is that person. From brake and AC inspections to custom exhaust and new tires, Tuffy Tire and Auto Service in Bellevue is your new trusted source for getting your car back on the road. Find them on Facebook at Tuffy Tire and Auto Service Center of Bellevue and online at tuffybellevue.com.
Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs has taken a page out of IMCA's rulebook and gone crate. These brand new low-emission engines will still have you white-knuckling it all through the Metro's fastest indoor facility. Joe's Karting is now friendly for all skill levels with their brand new Honda-powered engines. It's time to get to Joe's today and find out what drivers like Jack Dover, Shaylee Bate, and Andrew Kosiski have known for years. Located in Council Bluffs and online at joeskarting.com. That's karting with a K.
This is Andrew from Kaziski Auto Parts. Kaziski Auto Parts is an insurance-quality used parts supplier that can match your foreign or domestic car or truck needs. If you have a damaged or broke-down car or truck, we guarantee a clean and quality part in next-day fashion. Kaziski Auto Parts, your neighborhood premium recycled parts supplier. Call any Kaziski Auto Parts salesman today by dialing 402-731-4592 or visit us at 5040 I Street in Omaha. Kaziski Auto Parts, our quality used parts will match your car or truck's needs.
We're hooked up in turn 2 and still showing the green flag on the front stretch.
Heading into turn number 2 here on the front stretch, brought to you by Kaziski Auto Parts, online at Kaziski.com, located at 51st and L Street, right just actually down the road there on I Street on 51st Street. And you can find them at 731-4592. Again, 731-4592. Quality used parts at an affordable price. They'll get you back on the road with your arms and legs still attached. And we're talking to a, 3-time IMCA national champion. I think 3-time Tiny Lund Memorial champion. Did I get those right?
I've won national points 5 times.
Oh.
I've won the Super Nationals 3 times.
I didn't mean to cut you short. My bad, bud. Driving the number 78 hobby stock out of Iowa. Shannon Anderson, how you doing, sir?
Pretty good.
Hey, this whole dirt racing thing, can we blame your father for you getting addicted to it, or is there somebody else that's to blame?
Oh, Dad got me started. I mean, I never started racing until 2007. I always helped him on the car the whole time. When he decided he wasn't going to race as much, then I decided to buy a race car, I guess. So
you weren't quite done playing in the dirt, so you decided you were going to go do it then, huh?
Yeah.
What was your lead roles there working with your dad? Were you kind of like the lead mechanic, or were you just kind of one of the helpers around the pits?
Oh, I helped him all the time. I went to probably, 80% of his races, and he raced a ton.
Where was his favorite tracks to go and race at, or maybe one of your favorite tracks to go and watch him?
Audubon was definitely the best track to watch him at. Audubon was basically a circle. It was wide open around there, and he was really good at Audubon. And, he had a modified and a stock car there a couple years in a row, and he'd win 4 or 5 weeks in a row in both classes. He was about unbeatable on that track, and it was a lot of fun to watch. I wish it was still open.
Did people get just as cranky back then when somebody would go on a winning streak as they do now?
Yeah, there was a Who Won racing page that got fired up every now and then, I guess. There isn't one anymore.
Yeah, I never cared for Who Won much. I read Dirt Drivers a lot, but never cared for Who Won much.
It just really amazes me. I mean, there's obviously certain drivers that are fan favorites and mass favorites. There's guys like, up in the Cup Series, if Tony Stewart won a lot, people seem to love it. But when Jimmy Johnson wins a lot, they hate him and he's cheating. It's kind of funny, the double standard there.
Yeah, I don't know. Everybody's got their favorite driver.
Yeah.
And, everybody stands up for their favorite driver. Just like my friends, my family stand up for me, and the people stand up for who they cheer for, and they cheer, and if there's a rival or something on the track, they obviously ain't gonna like that guy if the person they like don't get along with them.
Are you kind of a weekend warrior of a type of a driver? You do this on the weekends as kind of a fun little hobby thing, or is this an everyday obsession? You're in the shop every day of the week.
I would probably say I take it too serious. I'm out here. Actually, I'm replacing everything on the front end of my race car right now. I'm underneath it doing this interview. So
I honestly thought to myself, boy, he's grunting and groaning. Is he moving the engine around? What's he doing?
Setting the toe in right now, actually. Messing with caster camber and toe in right now. But no, I'm out here all the time. But I have kids and girlfriend and everything. I usually take, like Monday and Tuesday off, unless I tear the car up like I did Sunday at Stewart. Then I got to work on it every day all week long, so that kind of gets tiring. But
yeah, it's getting to that point at the end of the season when you're getting kind of tired of banging the sheet metal back out and replacing this and fixing that. And
yeah,
I'd seen your dad. I'd seen your dad race quite a bit. I was a tech official with NASCAR for like 18 years, but I used to sub back when Tom Gutowski had Harlan for Rick, the guy that was the tech inspector back then, and I worked a lot of tiny Lunds for Tom, and you get that many cars, all the tech help you can get really helps. And he was he was a semi-aggressive driver. He wasn't the most aggressive I've ever seen, but he took care of his equipment. Is that kind of what you try and do?
Yeah, that's probably my biggest deal is probably my maintenance program. I'm on top of this car 24/7, replacing stuff. I mean, even if I hit the wall one night, if I hit the wall with the right front or something, I replace every suspension part on the right front of the car. I don't even chance it. And I mean, I don't chance having a DNF or a brake because, I hit the wall on Saturday night at Harlan. If it's weak in the ball joint or something, you go to Stewart on Sunday and the ball joint breaks, it costs you a race, let alone you probably didn't win the race when you hit the wall anyway. So
Exactly.
I mean, I'm on top of my maintenance program. I think it helps. And I'm probably, a lot of my friends that race with me or help me or, like some of the guys out of Supreme, they think I change stuff too much. But I don't know. I try to stay away from having DNFs. I mean, some things you can't prevent. Some stuff just breaks, but.
Do you just show them your 5 national championships and shut them up?
No, I'm not like that. I'm not arrogant of any way or anything, or I can be a smart ass sometimes, but.
Well, that's just that much more fun, though.
You put a helmet on, you're a smart ass. Come on.
Yeah.
Talk to me about your driving style. Are you aggressive? Are you laid back? Are you easygoing?
It depends what the situation is. Sometimes I race to finish. If it's points time and you just got to finish to wrap up a national championship or a track title or something, I'll just go out and I'll settle for whatever I got to do to win that. But I mean, there's times I would say that I'm pretty aggressive, and that's probably why some people don't like me. But I mean, I've been aggressive at times, and sometimes it gives you a bad rap,
We'll talk about
stick your car in a hole it probably shouldn't have been in.
But then fans love that, though. I mean, and that kind of goes back to the double standard I just got done talking about with the wins of, like, some drivers can stick their nose in there and fans say, well, that's why we love racing. And other times they scream, well, he had no business sticking his nose in there. It's got to get irritating with the double standard sometimes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's fans of some people that they don't ever think their drivers do anything wrong,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
I hear you
My
there.
fans probably are guilty of that, too.
Well, you're probably right. We're talking with Shannon Anderson, driver of the number 78 Hobby Stock. Races at Shelby County on Saturday nights and Stewart on Sunday nights. Do you race anywhere on Friday nights?
Iowa State Fairgrounds in Des Moines on Friday night.
Hey, do you got any insight of what's going on? I keep hearing things going on at that track. I'm not liking what I hear.
Oh, they're not. There's always a rumor about them closing. They're not closing. Them guys do a great job there every Friday night. And, I mean, their track's in great condition every Friday night. There's hardly ever holes, and it's multiple groove racetrack, and they do a great job. So
yeah, that State Fairgrounds track's the biggest dirt track I've ever been at. I've worked some WDRL races there and some old Busch All-Star Tour racers there, but that's a great facility. But you were talking about the way the track's flowing and, should be around next year. How about up at Shelby County with race director for the first year of Brett Pugh? And I know he's got experience at other tracks, so it's not his first year as an actual race director. But are you happy with the direction they're headed up at Shelby County?
Oh, yeah. They're trying. I mean, it's a learning experience to do everything, So, but you can't say they ain't working hard on the track or anything, because I've seen pictures numerous weeks where they tore the whole entire racetrack up, a couple foot deep, trying to. They added a bunch of dirt this winter, did a bunch of work to the track, and actually made the track even faster. And then, we kind of had a late winter, cold winter, and it was a little rough at the beginning, but they work on it every week, and the track's gotten better every week. So, I mean, you can't say they ain't trying. And the rest of them, a lot of them have been there at Harlan for a while, so it's kind of, there's some new people, but there's a lot of the people that have been there, so everything else runs really smooth. So
well, that's good. I've always liked going to races up there. I mean, it's 45-minute hour drive out there from Omaha, but I've always enjoyed the races up there, going clear back into the late 70s, and seeing guys like Bobby Allison run up there and stuff was always kind of neat.
Yeah, Harlan's always been one of my favorite tracks. I mean, maybe it's because I have good success there. I always went there with Dad and everything. It's one of my better tracks that I raced at. I don't know if I just caught on quick there or what, but I guess my rookie year, actually, I won all my races at Stewart. Struggled at Harlan, but maybe there's a lot of fast cars at Harlan. It's tough competition, and I enjoy that. And I mean, you got Madden's, Cole, Fuzzy. There's a lot of really quick cars. A lot of guys that have always raced there. The Smiths have always raced there. I've ran against them, and Beckman and all them guys, it's never easy to win on Saturday nights at Shelby County.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And it seems like the hobby stock and the stock car division are two just thriving divisions in that area. Are you agreeing with that? You think so, that they're doing well over there?
Oh, yeah. It seems like if there's cars winning at Shelby County, they can just about go anywhere and win races. I mean, the stock car and hobby stock and, even the modified division for years, some of the guys that are dominating Shelby County are winning everywhere.
Yeah.
They're not just winning at Shelby County. They can go just about anywhere in the state of Iowa and win races.
Are you running a crate motor now since they started allowing those a couple years ago in the hobbies, or are you running a good old-fashioned motor?
Well, 2010, it would have been 2011 was the first year allowed for the crate.
Right.
And I had 8 open motors built to run for national points because they claimed me so many times. And then the crate deal came into effect in like December or January when the rules came out. So I ran opens for a little bit there first month or so, and then I got beat by a couple crates, and I had a pretty good motor in, and I was like, well, if they can run door-to-door with me with that crate motor in that's not claimable, I just will not even be giving these motors away for $500. So I switched over to the crate, and I've had good success, and it's actually saved me a ton of money because there was seasons I'd lose 7 or 8 motors to the claim, and now I can put the same motor in and run it all season, so.
Shannon, what's been your scariest moment behind the wheel as a race car driver?
I would have to say off-ski last year when I flipped. I always wear my belt pretty loose, and nobody caught it on video, so I don't have any idea how many times I flipped. All they said was I was higher than the Musco lighting sign in turn 2, so.
Jesus.
I know how high that sign is, so I must flip pretty good. Bill Bonnet said that I went out of his sight when I was flipping in the air, and he was behind me. So
wow.
And I don't know. Now I tighten my belt up a little bit more because it felt like I was going to come out of the car off the 4th or 5th time I went over. So.
Well, then let's end on a happier note. What's been your favorite win of all of your career?
I would have to say Super National wins.
Yeah, at Boone?
Yeah, it's just impossible to win that race. And the first year I won it was 2009, and it wasn't the way I wanted to win it. Me and Devin kind of bumped and banged the whole race. Devin Smith, and he was probably one of my biggest rivalries, I guess. We went at each other for national points. Had a lot of really good races up at Elda. But we bumped and banged, and I felt like in 2012 when I went back there, well, actually, 2010 and 11, I didn't win the race. I was trying to win it, but had bad luck. In 2012, when I won that race and led every single lap, never touched a car, that was probably the biggest race. And then I did it again in 2014, and I'd set out to win that race again the right way without any contact, and I did it twice in the last 3 years, I guess.
Well, that's great, man, and we hope that you can add to another one this year for the Boone Super Nationals.
It's a pretty hard race to win with that many fast drivers and the best in the state. It'll be difficult, but I'll give her everything I got.
We wouldn't expect any less. All right, Shannon, get to work on your car and get it ready for this weekend. We appreciate your time, bud.
Yep, thank you.
Have a good one.
For having me on.
Thanks, Shannon.
Thank you.
So, again, that was Shannon Anderson, driver of the number 78 hobby stock throughout Iowa. Races at Shelby, at Stewart, and at the Iowa State Fairgrounds. You can also catch him. He comes up to specials at different tracks. Very entertaining driver to watch. I always enjoy watching him, and we took quite a bit of his time. I had a few more questions for him, but we'll have to save it for next time.
He is hard on the loud pedal.
All right, we're going to take a break. We'll come back and talk to Nebraska's very own Rick Allen, who will be in the broadcast booth today for NBCSN for the Michigan race. We'll talk to him in just a few minutes. This is The Front Stretch on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio.
Race fans, NASCAR returns to Kansas Speedway Sunday, October 18th. It's the 5th race in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. NASCAR's finest are all in, including Jeff Gordon in his final full-time season race at Kansas.
And Jeff Gordon is right where he needs to be.
Park free, coolers welcome. Tickets for the Hollywood Casino 400 Sprint Cup Series race, $99 or less. Kids tickets, just $29 at 866-460-RACE or KansasSpeedway.com.
Are you looking to book your next outing? Look no further than Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. Located just north of Bass Pro Shop, Joe's Karting can handle outings of well over 100-plus people. Bachelor parties, corporate outings, team building, birthday parties, and much more. Give Buddy a call today and reserve your outing. Joe's will even work with local restaurants to cater your event. Book yours today at joeskarting.com. That's karting with a K. It's time to get to Joe's and find out what everyone already knows.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Quaker Steak and Lube is the official watering hole for the front stretch and the best place to catch all the NASCAR action today. Open at 11 a.m. with delivery available to Council Bluffs.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Feather the brake and get back to the gas. Dan and Dirk are headed into turn 3 on the front stretch.
Heading into turn number 3 here on the front stretch. Brought to you by Kansas Speedway. Tickets for the Hollywood Casino 400 Sunday, October 18th are available now. You can call 866-460-RACE or visit KansasSpeedway.com. Joining us on the phone now is Nebraska's own and Grand Island's very own Rick Allen. How you doing this morning, sir?
I'm awesome. I'm so glad that you guys allowed me to come join you this morning, and I'm having a good time. I'm getting ready to enjoy another race.
Well, listen, you're carrying the Nebraska banner very well. We don't have a lot of people up in the national scene that are carrying the Nebraska and the Midwest banner, so thank you for bringing a little pride to the Midwest as far as racing is concerned.
On my Twitter handle, it says "Made in Nebraska."
There you go.
I'm very proud of my heritage and where I come from, and love the state of Nebraska. I've always, really cherished the time that I had there, growing up there, working at the university for so many years, working at Eagle Raceway. Getting my teeth cut in racing at the dirt track level. So I've been very appreciative of the way that the life has gone from Nebraska to now calling races for NBC Sports.
By the way, I had lunch with Stan Caesar earlier this week. He wanted me to let you know that if you need him to come sing the national anthem, he'll be welcome to come help out.
Spectacular. We always need a great voice.
He's a great voice. It's great having him sing the national anthems at the dirt races for us.
Yeah, that's great.
Hey, Rick, talk to us about your path from being an All-American in the decathlon to calling races at Eagle to then making your way on up to where you are now for the booth for the NBC Sports Network.
Well, I don't think it's the typical path that most people take in this, genre of television. Most people go from either being a broadcaster, student at the university level, or getting a degree in broadcasting, and then going into radio, and then maybe making the transition into local television, and then working their way up to national TV. I kind of skipped a lot of the steps. I went from being a public address announcer at Eagle Raceway to being on national television, calling at the time it was the Craftsman Truck Series, but now the Camping World Truck Series. So my path was quite a bit different. I think what has helped me in life was I was surrounded by some great people, very influential people. My grandfather was a wonderful person, taught me a lot of good people skills. My coaches at the University of Nebraska, Steve Rainbolt, my track coach, also taught me some great people skills and speaking abilities. And then just getting the opportunity to be a public address announcer at Nebraska. Chris Anderson and her crew and Bill Byrne at the time all gave me an opportunity. Don Bryant, the people that were there at the time that said, you know what, we'll take a chance on this, 22-year-old kid, and we'll put him up there in the announcer's booth and let him call football. And so it was a great experience in life. I was glad that I was able to do that for a decade, and it gave me the opportunity to the doors opened up for me to give a shot at television. And I was thankful that Fox Sports called and said, we'd love to give you a shot. And so it hasn't been your typical path that you take to get to where you are or where I am now. And I'm just thankful that people took a chance on me and have given me opportunities that I've been able to make the most of. So feel good about it and very excited that now I'm working with another incredible team with NBC Sports, and we're able to call the Sprint Cup races and Xfinity races and just kind of have a good time spreading that information to all the fans out there.
Rick, outside of the races like on Sunday being a lot longer than what the Truck Series races were, and having to learn some different names, is there any other major change that you had to go through to do this?
Not really. It's really a situation where you know the people and you have to be welcomed into the garage. That's one of the things that we want to tell the stories of these drivers, of these crew members, of these teams, and you've got to be able to walk into a garage stall and have people open up to you so that those stories come out and we can convey those to the fans that are watching on Sunday. So I think just my 13 years or whatever it was that I was with the Camping World Truck Series and being at all these racetracks and always being in the garage, and I think people saw that I work hard at what I do. I think they had respect for that, and they've opened up their garages and their sometimes their laptops that they'll let me know what's happening, why is it working the way it is, and what are we doing that's making our car faster than the guy that we're racing against. So I think that's been probably the biggest thing, is that you have to be welcomed into each garage stall, and I think that's probably been the greatest thing for me, is that I've got two guys that have incredible respect in the garage, and the mayor, Jeff Burton, and Steve Letarte, that when we walk through the garage, people seek us out. They mostly them, of course, but they come over and they talk to us, and so it's very welcoming, and it's humbling as well, because people have been very generous with their comments and letting us know that they think we're headed in the right direction.
Joey Logano got the win last weekend at Watkins Glen, and they got to have a unique privilege of tearing up the racing surface. Drivers and fans hate to see a track that's producing great racing like that get torn up, but do you think it was time for Watkins Glen to get a facelift?
Yeah, I think it was time for the repave. I don't think there's, we use we use different words when we describe a track that it has kind of a unique personality, or there's some traits to a track that are unique. And I don't think you need that at Watkins Glen, because just the makeup of the track in itself is something that people are interested in. And I think NASCAR even just this last week have mentioned that they would be open to potentially using the entire track at Watkins Glen, which would include the boot that is another part of the track that we don't currently use right now. And they've said that they would be open to utilizing that and putting that into the track that the NASCAR runs at. And so I think tearing up the track, I don't think does anything as far as it doesn't take anything away from the way the racing is going to be when we go back there next year. I think it could end up, if we do open it up and try a different part of that track, I think it could make racing even more interesting there, because it would add more turns, which I think people like, having more passing zones, more opportunities for cars to overtake another. So I think that's one of the great things about it, and I think Joey Logano had a great time tearing up the asphalt and the concrete so that he can say he was the last one to win on that surface.
Hey, Rick, a lot of the fans are hoping that 24 car gets in the chase, with his final season coming through. He's had some rotten luck this year. Do you think with his last couple races he's got a chance to pop that win out and get in that chase?
Yeah, he's got 4 opportunities. He's got this weekend with Michigan. He's got, some big races coming up with Bristol and Darlington and Richmond. I think he could win at any one of those tracks. He's won at all of those tracks. So he could definitely get back to victory lane. He might be able to get his slot punched as far as in that 16 of the chase by points, because if he can finish out strong here the last 4 races, he will be able to stay in points. So I don't know if he needs to have a win, but I think he can. He's definitely capable of it. What they need to do, though, is figure out to be putting themselves in position to win. And we haven't seen a lot of that in the first, 20 races or whatever of the season. So he's got to figure that out. They've got to figure out how to put themselves in position to win, because once they do make the chase, then you've got to be in position to win, because you're going to have to either win a race or you're going to have to be top 5 pretty much the entire chase, and we haven't seen that out of the 24 team yet. So they've got to put themselves in that position in 4 races so that they would be competitive to potentially win a championship.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Have you got to talk to Jeff about the retirement coming up?
Yeah, we've chatted about it a little bit, not a whole lot, but I think what he's focused more on is he wants to see his team show more potential, show more possibility of getting, show more speed, the potential of getting to victory lane. I don't think he's looking at it as, counting down every single race that it's my last season. He wants to be competitive. He was competitive a year ago and looked very strong, and the fact that he hasn't found victory lane yet this year has been a little bit surprising, and I think it surprised him. And so I think his biggest thing is they want to win. This last season, they want to make sure that they get a win, and so that's his big focus, is getting that team in a position where they can get competitive and be top 5 and be challenging for wins each and every week.
We're talking with Rick Allen, who is one of the broadcasters in the booth for NBCSN as a part of NASCAR's as part of NBC's coverage of the NASCAR races. As we get a little bit closer into the chase, things are kind of starting to get solidified for a lot of drivers, and I did notice a couple of changes as far as the graphics for Watkins Glen is concerned. Are we going to see more kind of these subtle changes, like this driver's in the chase, this driver's on the bubble, as we get closer to the chase and in the chase, for viewers to kind of easily be able to differentiate between who's in and who's out?
Absolutely. Great point. I'm glad you were able to see that. Dan, you're a sharp kid, so I knew that nothing would get past you. We put up on the top a line, a green bar that goes up underneath the drivers that are in the chase. That means they have won a race and are in the top 30 in points. We don't see them falling out of chase contention. So they're going to have a green line underneath their name every time they go across the screen. The drivers that are in the top 16, they're also going to have a yellow line underneath their name. So if they're in the top 16 in points and they're chase eligible, they're going to have that yellow line underneath their name and as they scroll across. So you're going to know every time their name goes across the screen if they are either in the top 16 in points still, and it's tabulated, as they are running on the track. So that tabulates while they're running on the track. You'll know if your driver is potentially going to be in the chase. Also, the driver that's leading the race, if there's a driver that hasn't won a race yet and maybe isn't in the top 16, but he's leading the race, he's also going to have a yellow bar underneath his name, because if he continues on in the path that he's going, he wins the race, he's in the chase. So we want to make sure that people understand how it works. If that person that's leading the race has the yellow bar underneath their name and they hadn't won before, then the person that's 16th in points would actually be bumped out of the chase. So they wouldn't have that yellow bar underneath their name. So it's constantly tabulating who is in and who is not in by the graphics that go across the top. And we'll point that out as broadcasters and let people know to what they can look for and who's close. If somebody's right on the bubble, we're going to keep an eye on them and say, they've got to pass a car or 2 or 3 to get enough points to get in the top 16, and we'll continue to follow that, because that's a great story in itself, the chase to get into the chase.
Rick, maybe this has a lot to do with the fact that the Knoxville Nationals wrapped up last night at Knoxville in Iowa, but I'm hearing a lot of chatter about the Truck Series possibly headed to the sprint car capital of the world. Are you hearing anything on the NASCAR side of that, maybe getting close to being done?
I haven't heard anything that I could confirm. I have heard a lot of talk about going to a different dirt track, another dirt track. They love Eldora. Mm-hmm. I know that the Truck Series has had a great time at that track. They put on an incredible show. The fans love it. So I have heard that they would look and entertain potentially a different dirt track, another dirt track to go to. But I have not heard anything that I could say, yes, they're moving in this direction or that direction. But I'll tell you what, it'd be really cool if they'd run at Knoxville, because that's an awesome track as well.
Well, I personally love the format at Eldora. I think the feature there this year had a few too many cautions for my liking, but last year was good racing in the feature with Wallace coming out with the win. And, this year was good racing, just too many cautions at the end. But the format with the heat races is awesome.
Absolutely. I think that's and Dirk, and Dan, this is something that we know very well because we've been around dirt track racing forever. And so that's typical dirt track. You're going to go through heats. You're going to, have a B main that's going to give you the opportunity to advance into the A main. And that's kind of the way they've done it. And it's a phenomenal format. And it gives everybody an opportunity, everybody a chance to work their way up into that main event. And I think that's what the people at NASCAR wanted. They wanted to, give everybody a sense of what it's like on a typical, Friday or Saturday night at a dirt track. And they've done that with the Truck Series at Eldora. I think it's been a great hit.
Yeah, I don't know how much dirt tracking you get to follow, but I know they had Scott Bloomquist ran that truck race a year ago up there at Eldora. He's
I called that race.
Yeah, he's a two-time defending champion now out here at I-80 Speedway. We run the Silver Dollar Nationals. This year it paid $32,000 to win, $180,000 purse, and Scott won it for the second year and was kind enough to talk to us for about 45 minutes one day. And Dan, that's Dan's new man crush, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, excellent. Well, he's got flowing locks. He's got long hair. But
you don't need to tell me.
I'll tell you, we were surprised because I think going into that, everybody thought that he was going to win the race. Everybody thought, oh, my gosh, he's so good on dirt that he's going to jump into whatever truck it is, and he's going to go out there and win that race. And when they dropped the green flag for, the main event, he didn't come charging through and go to the front. And I think what that did is it opened up the eyes of everybody that's watching going, okay, you know what? These guys are really good that do this on a weekly basis. Not only are they great on asphalt, but they're good on any surface. And so I think that really let people know that they're very, very talented. To get to the level of being in the Camping World Truck Series or the Xfinity Series and, of course, the Cup Series, you've got to be one of the best in the country. And that's what I think that proved is, Scott's one of the most talented dirt track racers ever. And for him to go in there and struggle a little bit against that competition, it just shows you that it's great. It's great competition. And that's what I love about the Truck Series, the Xfinity Series, and the Cup Series. So competitive every week.
Rick Allen, you can hear him today on NBCSN for the Michigan race. Coverage starts at 12:30 on NBCSN and MRN with the green flag just after 1:30. Rick, I appreciate your time. We look forward to talking to you soon.
Had a great time, guys. Thanks again.
Thanks, Rick.
We're going to take a break. We'll be back at turn number 4 to wrap it all up. This is the Front Stretch on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio.
One of the hardest things to find in the world is a trusted mechanic. Your car breaks down. You need someone that won't see you as an opportunity to pad their wallet. Jim at Tuffy Tire and Auto Service in Bellevue is that person. From brake and AC inspections to custom exhaust and new tires, Tuffy Tire and Auto Service in Bellevue is your new trusted source for getting your car back on the road. Find them on Facebook at Tuffy Tire and Auto Service Center of Bellevue and online at tuffybellevue.com.
We have all been there before. Broken car part in your hand and some snot-nosed punk behind the counter has no idea what he is talking about, but he guarantees that this part will fix your car. You pay an arm and a leg for the replacement, get it home, and sure enough, it doesn't fit your car. Now, learn from your mistake and give an experienced salesperson at Kosiski Auto Parts a call today at 402-731-4592. Kosiski Auto Parts will get you back on the road with your arms and legs still attached.
Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs has taken a page out of IMCA's rulebook and gone crate. These brand new low-emission engines will still have you white-knuckling it all through the Metro's fastest indoor facility. Joe's Karting is now friendly for all skill levels with their brand new Honda-powered engines. It's time to get to Joe's today and find out what drivers like Jack Dover, Shaylee Bate, and Andrew Kosiski have known for years. Located in Council Bluffs and online at joeskarting.com. That's karting with a K.
It's checkers or wreckers as we enter turn 4 on the Front Stretch, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs.
Just about ready to wrap this show up. We are heading into turn number 4, brought to you by Quaker Steak and Lube in Council Bluffs, the official watering hole of the Front Stretch. All the action for today's race at Michigan can be seen on the big screens at Quaker Steak and Lube, with coverage starting at 12:30 and the green flag action just after 1:30 on NBCSN and MRN. Excuse me there. The Pick'ems contest, we don't talk much about the overall Pick'ems contest because as the season goes on, it just kind of levels its way out. But Brock Ackerman is your leader, 4 wins on the season, by far the most points. He's got a big lead over everybody else, 810 points over second place Orlando Adams, who has 4 wins and 737. Top 10 contestants all have 4 wins. The next 5 who are going to make it in all have 3 wins with a couple of guys. We talked about Vern. He's sitting in the 12th spot. And then Tony Carragher sitting in the 14th spot. Dale Smith 13th. So the top 15 are going to reset as of Chicagoland. We'll give you 2,000 points. You'll bump up above everyone else. Now, everybody in the contest, 16th on back, still going to win a prize because we've got a full prize vault. But the top 15 are going to get first shot at that stuff, and so that's kind of the valuable side of that.
How come you want to talk about this so much when I got 1 point this week?
I don't know what you're talking about, Dirk.
I took your man crush, and
yeah, that didn't work out very well. This was quite a bit of a shakeup. A lot of people took A.J. Allmendinger, who only gave away 21 points. A couple of people took Tony. You took Tony. So did Mike Carlson.
Well, if your cat's missing here real soon, I'll just tell you right now.
Oh, talk to Tony's rear end because it wasn't the driving style this time.
I'll be putting my boot in your cat's.
Jesus. That's the overall Pick'ems contest. So I did have one question this week, just to clarify for the overall Pick'ems contest. One of the there's 2 rules essentially for this Pick'ems contest. One is you can only pick one driver in 5 weeks. So it makes you kind of break it up. So when somebody like Kyle Busch is going on a hot streak, you can't just keep picking them. You got to change things up a little bit. And then the other one is you can only pick the driver twice during the regular season. Now, a lot of the people, you're seeing the red boxes if you're following along the Excel sheet, that somebody like Carl Edwards, Dirk, you've taken him twice. You took him at Loudon and you took him at Bristol. Since you've taken him twice, you can't take him any more times during the regular season. But once the chase starts, you could select him again.
That's correct.
And Chad was asking me, so let's say somebody at Darlington, which is 2 races before the chase starts.
Doesn't matter.
Right.
Regular season and the chase are almost two separate contests.
Exactly. I see I see him as 2 separate contests.
He can pick him at Richmond, which is the last race before the chase, and then turn around and Chicagoland's the first race of the chase, I believe.
Yep.
And he can pick him right there. But then you're done. You can't pick him the rest of the other 9 races.
Right. Now, here's something that Orlando Adams asked me about earlier this week. Said, now, if I only took somebody once during the regular season, can I take him twice during the postseason, during the chase?
Nope.
Actually,
once
yes.
during.
You essentially get 3 picks all year. Twice in the regular season and once in the postseason.
Once in the postseason.
Yeah.
So he can't pick him twice in the postseason. He can only pick him once.
I put it in the rules that you could.
Daniel.
Here's the tough part, though. There's only 10 races to the chase. So if you're banking, let's say, 2 Jimmy Johnson picks for the chase, which might not be a bad idea, you got to make sure and pace them out right, because there's going to be a point when that, like, the last 5 races of the season.
If you bank, you could use 1 Jimmy Johnson during the regular season is what you're saying.
1 Jimmy Johnson during the regular season, and then take 2 of them for the postseason, for the chase.
That'd be a different strategy to take, I would think there'd be a lot of people that were, had taken Jimmy twice, and with his 4 wins, I mean, he's obviously going to be in the chase. You don't have to worry about that if you saved 1 pick.
Yeah. There's not a lot of people that have taken Jimmy twice in the regular season, because that team has this habit of, we're in the chase, now we're testing. And now they're finishing outside the top 10. So there's not a lot of people that have been doing that. And I think we're going to see a lot of people taking him when the chase starts, and all of a sudden he starts rattling off wins. So that's the overall Pick'ems contest. Checking out the Midwest Fall Brawl 5-week contest presented by I-80 Speedway. A lot of shakeup. I talked last week about how Kevin Beadle and Teresa Wolf were walking away with this thing. First off, thanks to Rick Havenridge for pointing out that I shorted a couple of people on some Kyle Larson points back at Indy.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you, Rick. Then Kevin and Teresa, who, by the way, I believe have picked the exact same driver all 3 weeks, had bad picks. They both took...
Both take 47?
Teresa took... Well, it was very close. Teresa took Martin Truex Jr. for Watkins Glen, who got her 20 points, and Kevin took A.J. Allmendinger, who got him 21 points. So it was very close between the two. It still remains close, but Kevin Beadle is your leader, 111 points. He has a marker lead over Teresa Wolf, who has a 2-point lead has another 1-point lead over Mike Carlson. Rick Havenridge is sitting in fourth with 98 points. He is 13 points out of the lead. And Dave Wallenberg has 87 points. He is 24 points out of the lead.
Well, we got 2 weeks left there?
2 weeks left, and I'm just noticing another error with that spreadsheet. Gosh darn it. Brock Ackerman is actually sitting in fourth place, so Rick is in fifth. Excuse me. I got to fix that error now.
See, Rick, you find all these errors, and it costs you.
This is what I get for making a new layout for the 5-week contest. It's much easier for me to use, but now all of those technical difficulties that I corrected with the last contest, they're all starting to rear their ugly heads again. Let's talk about tips from Chad and today in Michigan. Is this going to be your typical Michigan race, Dirk, as we're getting this new aero package and they're making some changes, or are we going to see something completely different at Michigan?
Well, the aero package with the big spoiler and everything, is going to change things. They're not going to have, 210-mile-an-hour speeds at the end of the front straightaway like they've been having. So the cars are going to handle much different in turn 1 and 2, and the fact that they'll be able to drive in so much deeper. And actually, the handling won't be that much different, but the lines the drivers take will be different.
Really?
Because they'll be driving deeper before they're making their turn and trying to decrease their speed.
Kurt Busch won this race last year, last time we were here a couple of months ago. It was a rain-shortened race, but Kevin Harvick had by far the best car. Carl Edwards and Joey Logano were also impressive. This is tips from Chad. Fans hate it, but this race will likely come down to fuel mileage.
Always does.
I love fuel mileage races at Watkins Glen. Pocono was pretty interesting. Michigan just stinks because it's a get out and lead kind of a racetrack, much like Kansas is. So hopefully it doesn't come down to it, but Chad's absolutely right. Jimmy McMurray, Jeff Gordon, Ryan Newman, and Clinton Boyer are all up in your tops. Probably not going to gamble and will ensure that they have good finishes because they need to make it into the chase. So don't expect a lot of gambling from those drivers. Sleeper pick for the week is Paul Menard. What do you think?
Well, Paul Menard's got, I think, a string, if I'm not mistaken, of top 10s of like 6 or 7 races there.
Wow.
So he's always around at the end, which is the big thing. And, he has one win. I mean, he won Indy. But, being around at the end for the people that already have the 4 wins and are trying to make sure they're in the top in points, go ahead and take him. Joey
Logano, Kevin Harvick, Matt Kenseth, Brad Keselowski, and Kurt Busch are Chad's top 5 drivers. If you want any tips from Chad, you can head over to Facebook.com/NASCAR tips from Chad. You can ask him direct questions about your Pick'ems contest and your fantasy leagues. He'll also help you out with football, which gets started, I believe, today, right? There's football on today?
I need to make a blog for football.
Yeah, definitely. What else do we have? Let's see. Coming up this Friday and Saturday, the TUSA Mod Lights and Nationals are at Butler County again this Friday and Saturday, so make sure you tune in for that. Next weekend, we will be live. We're going to have, we'll cover the Saturday night race at Bristol. Stan Caesar's going to call in with a recap from Eagle Raceway. We'll also get you ready for the Tiny Lund, which is 2 weeks away. So we'll talk to you about all that.
And I'm wishing a happy birthday to my brother out there. It was on the 14th, so a year older. I don't know how much wiser, but definitely a year older.
Is he a year wiser, or is he kind of starting to slow down?
He might be a Budweiser.
Oh, hey. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back next weekend to do it all again. For Dirk Houston, I'm Dan Taylor. Have a great weekend.
Race fans, NASCAR returns to Kansas Speedway Sunday, October 18th. It's the 5th race in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. NASCAR's finest are all in, including Jeff Gordon in his final full-time season race at Kansas.
And Jeff Gordon is right where he needs to be.
Park free, coolers welcome. Tickets for the Hollywood Casino 400 Sprint Cup Series race, $99 or less. Kids tickets, just $29 at 866-460-RACE or KansasSpeedway.com.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Quaker Steak and Lube is the official watering hole for the front stretch and the best place to catch all the NASCAR action today. Open at 11 a.m. with delivery available to Council Bluffs.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Are you looking to book your next outing? Look no further than Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. Located just north of Bass Pro Shop, Joe's Karting can handle outings of well over 100 plus people. Bachelor parties, corporate outings, team building, birthday parties, and much more. Give Buddy a call today and reserve your outing. Joe's will even work with local restaurants to cater your event. Book yours today at joeskarting.com. That's karting with a K. It's time to get to Joe's and find out what everyone already knows.